This is my story, my struggle, my pain, and I thought I'd share with you.
Been in Cairns about 12 years, grew up in Newcastle, moved up here originally to play basketball. I spent a couple of years with a training development player for the Cairns Taipans. Faith-wise, I grew up as a Catholic, went to Catholic schools, and a bit of a bad boy, I suppose, growing up. And always had faith around 50-60%. You know, I always knew that there was something bigger out there for me. But it wasn't until the recent journey that I realised now my faith is 100%.
Push things aside and stand back up and look up in the sky and say what's up.
First day of term 4 last year, went to work, normal day, start work at 8 o'clock. Had a bit of indigestion, stopped off at a shop and had a chocolate milk on the way and got to work, and then I felt a little bit sick and I started vomiting. Next thing you know, I went to the office next door and was laying down the lounge and I felt like a knife was stabbing me in the side. They called an ambulance for me and got rushed to Cairns-based hospital, where they believed I had my appendix had ruptured. I had my appendix removed. I was then in recovery for a couple of days. Everything was going well. It was Thursday, the 11th of October. I was actually on the phone on hold, and a doctor came in with his interns and said, "Hey mate, got some great news for you. You're going home today. We'll give you some endos and stuff for the pain. We'll go home this afternoon." I said, "Yep, that's great. Thank you very much. All good." 10 minutes later, he returned and he basically said, "Look, I've got some bad news for you. There's one in so many thousands of chance that you could have cancer in your appendix. Guess what? You've got it. And bad news, you've got to stay in overnight and get some more tests done."
My heart skipped a beat. I fell to my knees.
You know, it was just this big, sort of this darkness sort of came over me. I was just petrified, you know. And the next morning, that was all confirmed that the cancer had spread into my large intestine. I did require the surgery 2 weeks later.
Out of nowhere, this 100-year storm, the darkest thing I ever felt, bed curtain drawn.
I went into surgery on the Monday, had the large intestine removed, a third of it. They then reconnected the small and large intestine together. They did that. On the Thursday night, I got really sick. I had pneumonia, I had some sort of infection, and I was leaking. I then was rushed into emergency surgery on the Friday morning of that week, where they proceeded to cut down the middle of me here. So my appendix was removed on this side. They then cut down here, which had 35 staples, and they basically open you right up and find where the leak was. So I've woke up basically in ICU 2 weeks later. My first recollections of ICU was being chained to a bed. I remember just being hallucinating and then trying to reach forward, and I had my hands were just chained because I worried about me pulling my my stuff out. And I believe that was around the Saturday or the Sunday.
At the edge of darkness, I'm screaming out in pain. The four horsemen circling again and again.
That afternoon, that evening, I sort of got this overwhelming feeling of strength and encouragement and love. And it was hard to explain. Like when my family and friends would come and talk to me, it was like I was in this bubble. And I was sort of be sitting in this bubble, and I knew they couldn't understand how I was feeling. And in my life before, I used to always feel like there was times when I'd be alone and I wouldn't have any love and stuff, and you not need to be around people or to fill that sort of void. But on this occasion, I felt that I could be alone, I could be in a dark place and feel this love. So that's when I believe I was touched by God to sort of say, "Look, I'm here with you. You're never going to be alone again." Remarkably, 12 o'clock that night, they moved me from ICU to the surgical ward, which means I'm now out of the woods. And between 12 and 3, I started praying to God and asked Him to forgive me from all my sins. And I went through a whole list of sins I had. You know, it's been a long time since talking to God. So went through, and again, I just felt this more love coming to me and this power. And I started praying, "Can I have a fan? Can I have a fan? Please, God, give me a fan." At about 3:30 in the morning, a fan arrived. I kept praying for you know, as much thickened water as I could drink. 7:30, the surgical team came. Unlimited thickened water. Next thing you know, I'm on much custards and ice cream and all that sort of stuff I could eat. So all my prayers were being answered this day. The next couple of days, I just recovered so well. I had tubes. One of the tubes was leaking. They pulled it out. They started pulling tubes out of me. Every morning I'd sit and have a shower and sit in my chair, and the surgical team would come and they'd say, "Where's your tube?" And I said, "Oh, they came out last night." They were just blown away by my recovery. So I put it back to reading some parts of the Bible about the armour of God. I believe, you know, I was touched, and then I had put this armour of God over me. And then between the Tuesday and the Saturday, I got out of hospital on the Saturday morning, and they were blown away with my recovery.
I put on my armour of God and pledge my sword. I take salvation, so thank you, Lord.
So during my first trip when I went in for my appendix, a lady at my work, Linda, who works in my team's best friend's Annette, Kylie's mum. So Annette came in to see me through all that sort of madness and stuff, and it was funny. She came in to said I'm a friend of Linda's and started talking to me, and all these different people that come and sort of offer their help prior to that were more like annoying. And Annette sort of came in, and there was a few times when she'd see me when I wasn't in a state to talk, but she always came back, and her and I started talking, and then she offered me some guidance, and she really was sort of like an angel. The first surgery I think was the scariest, going in for that surgery, but every other surgery, like I'd go in, laying in the bed, about to operate on, and I'd be actually laughing and happy, and everyone was sort of blown away. The doctors and the nurses and stuff were sort of like, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm going to be fine." I just knew at that point in time that everything was going to be okay, and that there was something bigger and greater looking after me, and it wasn't in the hands of the surgical team. It was actually God had trained them and gave them the skills and supported them as well. So, but Annette's been sort of my spiritual guide, and she sort of helped me the whole way along, and that's the reason I've sort of come to this church as well. I went to a few churches when I came out. Went back to a Catholic church and a few other churches, and then she said, "Why don't you just go and check where Shannon and Kylie go?" And I came in here that first day, and I just walked in, and I just felt like this is a place for me to come home. And since I've been here, I've just felt more alive, and I think this is the place for me. Yeah. It was the most amazing experience, feeling like I let go of all these demons and this negativity in my life out of me, and then I just let more of God's love into me. Look, I've had a life-changing experience. I was in ICU for 9 days in a critical condition, and everyone believed I was going to die. The doctors were scared, family was scared, and no matter which way you look at it, God was looking after me. He's given me a second chance. Jesus picked the commoners. He just picked the normal people. Before the rabbis used to be these high parts of society. Now it's just these fishermen and things like that, and I see myself as just a commoner, as just a normal person. He wanted me to listen, and I don't think I would have listened any other way to nearly dying. And I think nearly dying's been a really bad experience, but it's been a great experience. It's put me back into faith, and I think from this point on, trust in the Lord and follow that path. And I think He's got some magical things set for me and my life. So yeah, thanks for that.